Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're talking about the one, the only, the best meme coin out there, Turbo Toad Token. Listen, we are currently ranked 155 in the world, right? We can actually see, look, 9,455 active cryptocurrencies listed on CoinMarketCap. Okay, yeah, I know people say, oh, there's so many more coins, blah, blah, blah. You guys have to realize so many coins do not make it past a couple days, a couple weeks at best, if I'm being generous, right? There's only been a couple hundred active cryptocurrencies listed on CoinMarketCap and approved and verified, since last cycle, pretty much. Okay. There's gonna be a lot more money this cycle. The ratios for the amount of new cryptos that are gonna last longer than a couple of days versus the ones that are here to stay is really really good. And guys, we are ranked 155 out of pretty much 9,500. Okay, that that is really really good. That's practically in the top 2%, and we will continue to move to the upside. I know people are gonna be like, well, the last few weeks have been a little bit slow. It's like, yes, people, but you gotta understand, that's what happens when Turbo wants to prepare to go to the upside. You gotta remember, crypto, it works like humans, but just on a bigger scale. We all have to rest. We all have to eat, sleep, drink, water, and etc. to feel good, to have energy. And the same thing with the markets, right? When the markets pump a lot, they pull back, they go sideways, because that is how they rest to prepare for the next big move to the upside. We can see, despite it being the weekend, ladies and gentlemen, we have practically hit almost 75 million volume in the last 24 hours. We're currently around 350 million market cap, and we go to something like the holders. We're almost there at 57,000 holders. Okay, we're almost at 57,000 holders. You know, the day we get to 60,000, I think I might do some type of giveaway or something just to celebrate, right? Just to celebrate, nothing too crazy, right? Nothing too crazy. But I think, we might do some type of giveaway or some celebration or something fun. So, we'll think about it, but we're most likely going to do it because you know what, guys, we've been covering Turbo for a year and 3 months, something like that. It's been a wild journey, and I need to give back to some of you guys. I recognize some of the names by now. You guys have been here practically, since very early on. So it is time to reward the community. Anyways, let's just jump right into the actual technical analysis. And we can see, ladies and gentlemen, that pretty much yesterday, we had a good pump, right? We had a pretty good pump. We pumped at 1.14%, 14 to 15%. You might think that's a good pump. Guys, listen, in this context, it is. Because you have to realize, in this context, we're not looking to just explode right now. We're looking to recover and go up on a consistent basis. Now, something you'll notice, right? The daily candle has a decent rejection, right? And what did it do? It rejected off of this area. And when we go to the 4-hour chart, ladies and gentlemen, right, this is what we're talking about. We were talking about pretty much how we had to look out after this order block, roughly around 0.0051. Now, we did burst through it by a couple percent, but then we can see that when we closed, we did close below this area over here, right? So we can see a little bit of a sell-off and a little bit of rejection, but it's been nothing crazy, right? We're going to be completely honest. If we take it, let's say from this order block area here, somewhere here, and take it, yeah, we've only gone down 3%. Now we could go down a little bit more, but you can see it's been fairly slow, and we are kind of looking to create a flag, right? We are looking kind of to create a flag. Damn, wrong arrow, not this arrow. Let's choose the red arrow in this context, right? We are kind of going in a downtrend, but we are also kind of sideways like this. So I actually do believe the context of the market is overall looking to be pushing up higher. Okay, overall looking to be pushing up higher. Now, this is just a theory, but I believe in the context of the markets that we are somewhere, ladies and gentlemen, very, very close to this point, right? Where we kind of had a decent rejection back in mid-March, a pretty, solid, mediocre uh, buy candle, sell off the next 2 weeks, a pretty decent slash good recovery candle. The next one was fairly slow. And then the one after that was this huge, gigantic pump that went from 0.002 all the way at one point to 0.006 in just a week, which is crazy, right? Oh my God, 3 times gains is insane. So I do believe something similar is brewing up. I'm not sure if it's going to happen within a 2 week span, but I do believe August is overall going to be fairly nice to us. And we can see, right, at this current moment, we are simply just recovering higher and higher, right? We might pull back a little bit, but overall, every time we've gone into a zone, right? We've gone into a certain zone, we can see the reaction was it was aggressive, right? These are the 4 hour candles, but still, we had a big 4 hour candle, then small one, then a fairly big one, and then after that was just kind of sideways dead before we just continued to sell off. This time around, when we entered a zone, right? When we entered this zone over here around 0.005, you can see, yeah, a little bit of reaction, but it wasn't nowhere near aggressive like this. In fact, it sold off a little bit, but it's been more sideways than a sell off, if anything. And, you know, you have to see how the markets are and how they react. And what I see right now is that there's not that much selling pressure, right? There's not that much selling pressure. And I expect for us to continue to push the upside. I do believe the context is different. So yeah, I am super, super excited for Turbo. When we go to something like the monthly candle, we did technically tap into the monthly order block. Okay. We can see just the way we did this back in March and April when we tapped into it, right? We can see we sold off a little bit. The next month we pumped. Now it's the same thing, right? We have another monthly order block, the June one, the June and July combo. They make a specific type of candle, and we can see we already tapped into it. So on the monthly, we have it checked marked. On the weekly, in terms of the lows, right, we have this relevant low. We have another relevant low at 0.003. And then we have another relevant low as of right now at 0.0, was that 0.043, right? It's like, and like I said, technically we could always go lower, but we have 2 very nice confirmations as of right now, right? We have 2 very nice confirmations. And when we also use the Fibonacci tool, when we take it from the last relevant high to the last relevant low, we went a little bit lower than 0.61. And that's exactly what happened last time around, what before we start to retrace or start to go back up, right? We take it from this top, we take it this bottom, right? We went just a little bit below the 0.61, and then we started to move to the upside. So I really do believe it's literally just the same thing playing out, except this time around, when we do start pumping, we most likely won't see another leg to the downside, right? We won't see something like this really. Like I would really, really be surprised if we saw this play out. It would, if anything, right? If anything, it might be boom, like this, little fake out, and then like this. Fairly aggressive. I expect it to be fairly aggressive, if anything. Okay. You got to remember, we're not only bursting through this support, right? We're not only bursting through this relevant support at roughly, let's just say in general on 0.006768, right? We're not only bursting through this one, but we're also bursting through this diagonal one. Okay. So I do believe that when we do push, right, if there's going to be a little bit of rejection, it's not going to pull back far. And then once we start bursting, we're going to have a lot of imbalance, meaning there's not a lot of support and resistance up until practically 1 cent. So I expect aggressive moves, ladies and gentlemen. I do expect another big burst, but then I would not be surprised if we got something similar like this over the next couple of weeks. Now, I don't think it'll necessarily take, let's just say from May, June, July, halfway through August, maybe full August. I don't think we would go sideways again for 4 months. Okay. I think if anything, would maybe do it for a month, month and a half. I do believe the markets are speeding up and they're looking to really accelerate. As of right now, Bitcoin dominance is kind of fighting for its life. We can see that, we started to sell off a little bit, but we are pulling back. Now, if Bitcoin dominance baits us, then we might see altcoins, just continue to go slowly higher and higher. But if we start getting sells, you know, altcoins will continuously, pump for us in our favor. And then when we see this big dump, which most likely will take out these bottoms because we have created this type of structure where we have a high, a lower high. So I would probably expect a lower low than this point, right? When we start selling off aggressively, that's when we'd really start seeing massive pumps. But ladies and gentlemen, Bitcoin dominance is fighting for its life around this zone. So this is going to be the key indicator. If this does not break, then things get stalled out a little bit more until they do. But then even then, right away, it's not going to be fully aggressively pumping, but it will start preparing officially for the big altcoin season. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not familiar with how everything goes down, we pretty much get the most unorthodox pumps in the world. Okay, it is the craziest time of your life, and you have to be locked in mentally, you have to be locked in emotionally, and you have to make sure that you do not mess this up. Okay, and that is the reality. And you know what? I am here to help. Obviously, in the private community, we will be doing extra work and stuff, but we also will be helping those on the channel publicly. And ladies and gentlemen, this bull run, this altcoin season, it's going to be crazy. You thought those 50% days, those 70% days, those 100% weeks were insane. You're not prepared. You are not prepared. I've been around 3 cycles now, or I mean technically this would be my third. And the first cycle was a lot of lessons, a lot of losses. The second one was, fairly good. It was pretty good, but it was also quite a bit of lessons. And this one, I'm expecting to pretty much, as long as I get it 90 to 95% correct, especially when it comes to selling, then ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say that's a success. But yeah, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Have faith. We are super close. We are much closer to the finish line than even the halfway line. People, there's max a couple months left before we have to cash out, and you do have to cash out. Okay, and this is something we're going to talk about in another video, but do not marry this coin. Do not marry any crypto you have, because if you marry the crypto, then you just miss the whole point of crypto, which is to get rich and cash out, even if it's something like Turbo. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.